She knew how to act cool when she wasn't feeling cool, and it was something guys like Gold and Richard needed to see out of her. She'd grown up around guys like them. She understood the nuances of caper culture deep in her bones. Understood how you could have fun and be loose off the job, but you had to be professional on the job. She'd even gone through a phase where she imagined cultivating the pro side in herself by getting really good at shooting, as if that would have won her father's love. Her father. Victor, she called him now. She'd kill him herself if he weren't already dead. Yelling in the distance, she looked over at Gold. He gave the level hand sign. It meant, stay cool, no problem. Nadia pocketed Artie and took Lizzie from her shoulder holster and checked the safety, hoping Gold didn't notice that she'd done it a few times already. She put Lizzie back. She'd like to know Lizzie had her safety on. Darkest before dawn, she thought, as she shifted on her feet, shaking out one leg, then the other, and stretching her neck. God, it was humid. She hadn't gotten to do her preventative pee, damn it. If worse came to worst, she'd drop her pants and pee right there. Gold wouldn't even bat an eyelash. With these guys, it was all about taking things in stride. Off the job, they talked about shooting and law-breaking casually, with the same weight as something stupid, like how you'd eat an Oreo. Back when Victor was running his empire out of the mansion, you'd hear guys sitting around and saying things like, "Let's pop this guy, and then I need to stop at the post office." Or, "Should we stop at the post office first?" She'd tried that in the van on the way to the first raid, going on about her love of curly fries while loading Lizzie. All it had done was to make her sound like a psycho, and when she'd looked up, Richard was laughing silently. He saw through everything. Well, she'd do what it took. She'd be what it took. Her mother needed her. Nadia wouldn't stop until she found her and rescued her. If the woman was still alive. She had to be alive. Nadia tried to focus on the positive. Her own mother could be trapped right on the other side of the very wall she stood against. What would she be like? What would she look like now? The warehouse they were about to raid had once been part of Victor's empire, but now it was in the hands of the Quartet, the four gangs that had divvied up her father's lines of business after he died. It had a functioning garment distribution front like all of the Quartet co-ops, and there would be 4 loading bays. Those bays would lead into 4 locked sections. One section belonged to each criminal gang. Totally separate lines of business, bunked down together in a perfectly machined underground railroad for everything illegal. The garment distribution front made it seem legit. Nadia had taken an animal life class at the college she'd attended. She'd picked the class because it seemed easy. That was how she rolled back when she was the party princess. The class was actually interesting. She learned, for example, that cats that would normally fight each other over territory would drop their territorial squabbles in the face of a large food source, such as a fisherman's wharf. If the Quartet gangs were cats, the cooperative warehouses would be their fishermen's wharfs. Shared territory, an economy of scale, and convenience too good to fight over. A crunch in the distance. Gold put out the level hand, and she nodded. The crunch was one of their guys. Weird that the warehouse guards were off schedule. Over weeks of watching, they rarely saw the guards deviate from their schedule. The mercenaries hadn't been eager to work with a woman not in the life, but she felt like she'd proven herself. Anyway, she had to come along. If she weren't along, there would be no way that they could identify her mother. Nadia didn't have any actual memories of her mother, but she found a photo of her after Victor was killed. She'd stared at it for so many hours that she felt sure she'd recognize the woman even though it had been taken 30 years ago. More important, her mother would recognize her birthmark and know that Nadia was her daughter, and that the men with her were good guys, rescuers, and people to cooperate with. 6 months ago, Nadia found the bewildering photo of the girl in the dingy slip, holding her as a baby. She'd recognized herself as the baby right away because of the fist-sized bird.